Alright, let's talk about Rhys McKee, a talented fighter who walked into the octagon at UFC Fight Night 174, full of hope and ambition. Unfortunately for Rhys, Khamzat was also in the octagon, and by the time the cage door closed, that hope and ambition was already packing their bags. The bell rings, and Khamzat charges forward like someone just yelled free food. Rhys doesn't even have time to throw a single jab before he's flying through the air, courtesy of Khamzat's takedown. And let's be clear, this wasn't your typical takedown. No, this was the kind of takedown that makes you rethink your life choices. Khamzat scooped him up like he was a toddler being put to bed, and slammed him down like the octagon owed him rent money. Once they hit the mat, it was over. Not technically because the fight was still going, but metaphorically, Rhys was already done. Khamzat didn't just control him, he owned him. Every escape attempt, shut down. Every defensive move, countered. At one point, it felt like Rhys was trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded while Khamzat was slamming his head into the mat for fun. And Khamzat, he's smiling through it all, shouting at Dana White mid-fight, as if Rhys wasn't even there. Imagine being so dominant that you can hold a conversation while breaking someone's spirit. By the time the ref stepped in, Rhys looked less like a fighter and more like a guy who just survived a natural disaster. But here's the thing. Rhys didn't lose in the octagon. He lost the moment he saw Khamzat across from him with that look that says, I don't need to beat you, I've already won. Still, if you thought this was Khamzat at his scariest, think again. Because once Smash Mode activates, things don't just get worse, they get downright apocalyptic. Smash Mode activated. You know that moment in a horror movie when the monster stops playing games and just goes for the kill? That's Khamzat in Smash Mode. Except this ain't a movie, and you're the one trapped in the cage. Let's talk about UFC Fight Night 185 against John Phillips. Now Phillips isn't a rookie. This guy has power, experience, and a reputation for being tough. But Khamzat didn't care. From the opening bell, it was like watching a predator play with its food. Within seconds, Khamzat shot for a takedown, slammed Phillips into the mat, and unleashed hell. Punches, elbows, relentless pressure. It was like Khamzat had a personal vendetta against the canvas for daring to exist. Phillips looked completely helpless, as if someone had replaced his fight camp with a yoga retreat. At one point, Khamzat landed 192 strikes to Phillips's 2. That's not a fight, that's a crime scene. And the scariest part is that Khamzat didn't even look tired. While Phillips was gasping for air, Khamzat was still in full beast mode, screaming at the ref like he hadn't had enough yet. By the time the fight ended, Phillips wasn't just defeated, he was obliterated, left wondering if he'd accidentally signed up for a different sport. So here's the takeaway. When Khamzat activates Smash Mode, it's not about surviving. It's about hoping the ref saves you before he completely deletes your existence. Check out this next video, or Khamzat shows up at your door ready to test your chin. And trust me, you're going to want to watch the next video before he gets there.